So Chris,
Frankie.
I hear you made a Star Wars prequel fan edit.
I did. I've wanted to do one for years.
You're a good person. Don't do this.
I think people have been doing this like since the prequels came out. People have been trying to make them better. Yeah, exactly. Like, what have you done? I'll be honest, I was going through a really terrible breakup.
So love has blinded you?
I just needed like a hobby. It was something I intended to just like throw a few hours a day or two into, and I think I ended up spending like 2 weeks off and on, just like evenings, and sometimes I stayed up to like 5 a.m. tinkering on this thing. Like, it just became this like, you know, avoid the emotional conflicts of my life and throw myself into this.
So this is like nerd Ben and Jerry's?
Nerd Ben and Jerry's,
I got it.
Yeah.
Now, when you were doing it, what did you find about the story? About yourself? It's a journey.
Self-discovery, it was.
It's a whole thing.
I am not Anakin Skywalker.
I don't like sand.
We're out here in California. I love beaches. I think a lot of us were like very frustrated with the prequels. I found like digging through the footage, you can tell he had this story that he wanted to tell. My goal was to cut it down to like one movie. And like, I think Topher Grace supposedly did this edit where it's like an hour 45 or something. Like, right, like it's like nobody's ever seen it except for like his friends and whatever. But there's this like,
I was not aware of this Topher Grace cut.
Big myth of like the Topher Grace. Apparently he's like a really good editor. My goal was to cut, you know, it's like 7.5 hours ish in 3 movies, and I wanted to get it down to 2.5 hours.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
You know, to me, it's like I've seen some of these fan edits, and I think it's super awesome that people are like messing around with the footage and telling stories. But like sometimes they don't make sense unless you've seen the movies before.
Yeah, which is, I think, a problem.
Right. It's
the
like,
movies are already made where you need third-party material. You're
yeah,
like,
to like
General Grievous?
It's like, oh, what's going on here? My goal was to have somebody, maybe they've never seen the prequels, they could watch my cut and not lose anything. I saw one where it's like, the clone army just shows up out of nowhere, but you never saw Obi-Wan Kenobi go discover the clone army.
The Jedi have amassed a huge army. That doesn't seem possible.
Here's Yoda and the clone army, like just accept that this is happening. Like it was like, oh.
You gotta go to Camino.
You kinda gotta go to Camino. There's like things that just gotta play out a little bit. And that took, you know, a little bit of effort, but really like there's so much bloat in those movies that we arrived in the outer atmosphere, and here's the inner atmosphere, and here's the planet's surface, and here's us landing, and huge like 5 minutes to go between planets because George Lucas loves making planets that have like one single ecosystem. Have you heard of Machete Order Viewing?
Danny Trejo was like, I'm messing with Star Wars.
I know how we can.
Machete.
So Machete Order, for anybody who's never heard of this, proper viewing order for Star Wars is not chronological because there's all kinds of spoilers in like the prequels for the original trilogy.
Unnatural.
They assume you've seen those when
Which
they're
is
making
also kind of leads itself to why the movies are great stories.
Right. There's problems with that. But then at the same time, if you watch the original trilogy and then watch the prequels, it's like you're kind of ending on a weird note.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
You watch New Hope, you know, Star Wars 1977, and then you watch Empire Strikes Back and you end on this biggest cliffhanger of all time. Instead of going straight into Return of the Jedi, you skip episode 1 because nothing that happens in episode 1 matters.
Yippee!
So you skip episode 1 and you watch episode 2 and episode 3, you get this flashback backstory of how Anakin Skywalker became Darth Vader, and then you watch Return of the Jedi. Luke is like kind of dark.
The coolest Luke ever.
He's cool Luke. Luke with the hood, and Luke force choking dudes. Oh, is Luke going down a dark path? It kind of actually adds a little. You get this like extra nuance from watching, you know, those 2 prequel movies between it. And then you finish Return of the Jedi and it completes the entire story, and there's no need to have any movies after that. So
not a single reason
we don't need
to
more
have
movies.
any movies.
Not necessary.
After.
It's the best order I've ever heard of like how you can watch the movies.
Makes sense.
But the problem is you still have to watch 2 prequels.
Oh, no!
Instead, my goal was to basically do a cut of the prequels that's like a Machete Order cut. That's mostly episode 2 and episode 3. Episode 2 starts with, you know, it's the bombing of Senator Amidala's ship.
I guess I was wrong. There was no danger at all.
But instead, it's basically Darth Maul attacking, her entourage. And then that leads into...
So you gotta have the Darth.
He's gotta have, that was the one moment I was like, I don't care if this is like better or worse. The 16-year-old kid in me could not get rid of like Darth Maul, Duel of the Fates, double-bladed lightsaber. So like any of the reveals of episode 6, you won't kind of... I left in that there are twins, but they don't reveal like the names. So like you go into episode 6, like if you've never seen it, you would maybe have some idea, like if you would put the pieces together, because like, oh, Bail Organa walks away with a baby and whatever. But you'd have to really be paying attention to be like, wait a second, Leia, whatever. And it doesn't spell it out. You could still have that real, like that revelation for yourself. R2-D2 like can fly in the prequels. Which makes no sense because we never see him do it in the original trilogy. You have to remove Jar Jar Binks.
Excuse me.
I couldn't remove him entirely, but he's like just in the background of some, he's like in some scenes.
You saw in big doo-doo this time.
He doesn't have any dialogue at all.
But Chris, Issa Star Wars.
Issa Star Wars without Jar Jar Binks.
Word.
The Trade Federation dudes, like I tried to completely remove them.
Is that legal?
I think they need to say something like we must go to the ships or whatever.
I knew it.
Okay.
But they don't sound. How do they sound, Chris?
What? What did you say?
I don't
like
remember.
that.
What is going on down there?
I've cut them so much that I don't even remember.
You don't remember how they sound?
This is impossible!
I'm sure I definitely haven't played a clip of it yet.
We will not survive this. You disturb me.
Those are some of the big things that were like goals. Obi-Wan doesn't have to go figure out where Kamino's missing from, the star maps. It's fine. Kamino can be out there. We can just go there.
Lost a planet, Master Obi-Wan has. How embarrassing.
Tatooine. Never in my version do we actually go to Tatooine.
You are strong and wise.
No sand people?
No sand people, no Tatooine, because it's like...
That's Baby Vader right there.
It's Baby Vader, and
I hate them.
in the movies, it's like, dude just slaughtered a whole village of people, and his wife is still like,
He's
it's
essentially Darth
yeah.
Vader.
He's holding me back!
There's so many just extended action sequences that just go on and on. Obi-Wan jumps out the window and is like chasing the assassin across the whole city and flying through the air, and it goes on for like 15 minutes or something, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's like the only point of that is somebody tried to kill Senator Amidala and we need to catch that assassin. You get these just long sequences.
The scene before, he tells Anakin, you need to be more level-headed.
Right.
You need to calm down. And then he jumps out of a window to get Zam Wessel, Slug Assassin.
Is that the character name?
Yeah, Zam
Oh,
Wessel.
I didn't know that. With Anakin, it's kind of what you have to do is take out half of his scenes.
You will try.
He'll have this scene and he'll, say something that's sort of like, you know what, sometimes we have to think about the greater good and, I think that's important.
You've grown up.
And you're like, oh, cool, that's nice, Anakin. It's good that you think that way. And he's like, if only Obi-Wan would recognize that I'm a good person. Like, he's such a shithead and I hate you! Oh, well, now you kind of lost me. Like,
Yeah.
You just cut that scene in half and suddenly he's not so bad.
So you mean you tried to make him, likable?
I won't go as far as saying likable. I'll say tolerable. I'll say we can make Anakin Skywalker tolerable. The way to do these movies is like Obi-Wan, that you're doing it through Obi-Wan's eyes.
Hello there.
And that like you're seeing Anakin grow and change in the background, of that movie.
As far as I'm concerned, he's the main character of the prequels.
Yeah.
I mean, George wanted to tell the story of Anakin, but really, the original movies are the aftermath of Obi-Wan's failure.
Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
So it should kind of be his movie, because Anakin's fall has a lot to do with his inexperience as a master, as a teacher, losing Qui-Gon too early. These are the Jedi being frankly terrible and very dumb. They're very dumb for being so old and wise. Lost the plot there.
And the interesting thing is like whether it's intentional or not, that's part of the story.
Yeah, it's there now.
It's there now. Like, I mean, there's no changing that. And whether George Lucas
Yoda's a big dum-dum who doesn't know the guy down the hallway is a Sith Lord.
Train yourself to let go.
I leaned into it as much as you can't lean away from it. I'm a bigger fan now, having condensed the movie so much, that I'm like, yeah, there is a story there. There's Obi-Wan and there's Anakin and there is this kind of brotherhood.
You were my brother, Anakin.
It is a really beautiful story.
Yeah.
And it's really well done. Just watch the Clone Wars animated series. But watching the Clone Wars, you're gonna go, they are family. They are. They are. Obi-Wan and Anakin.
I'm sure there's fan fiction out there.
Oh,
fan
I'm
edits
sure.
of that.
What is their ship name? What's the Anakin?
Obi-Kin.
Obikins?
Obikins, is
Oh,
that-
because Obikins.
Obikins,
And you like
yeah.
boop 'em?
Yeah,
Obikins?
yeah.
At the end of this, did you save your childhood? Are they perfect movies?
No.
Should you win an Oscar?
Yes. No, it was fun. I'm glad I did it. I learned a new appreciation for the prequels, strangely.
Okay.
I'm not a professional editor. I have been paid to edit occasionally. I wanted to learn some new software, and luckily for any aspiring fan editors or professional editors or whatever,
Council have granted me permission to train you.
Avid has this Avid Media Composer First. There's a learning curve, but it was I wanted to practice, I want to learn some of the shortcuts and whatnot. The limitations would be enough that you wouldn't be able to do a big project on it, but a fan edit.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.
You're rearranging.
You're just rearranging. It's a very easy, and it's totally made for this kind of thing. I actually had to recreate it because I was oh man, I downloaded I own the Blu-rays, but I got lower quality, whatever. I was oh my god, I gotta get better compressed files to work with them, and I literally had to recreate the whole edit. I've never until now put it out there. It's just been something I've shared with some friends and everything, but I'm not Topher Grace, so I can share this. So yeah, we're gonna have a link to this, and we would actually love people doing some feedback, because Frank and I are actually going to attempt to do an edit of the sequels to see it's not a cohesive story like the prequels. There's a story in there, and you can just tighten it up and make it work. The sequels, oh man, we don't even know if.
So excited.
He's
I'm so glad
stoked.
we started a YouTube channel just in time for us to do this. I'm interested.
I'm interested.
Can we do this? Is
Yeah.
there anything
Is there a
that we
salvageable?
can we have two directors fighting over a story no one asked for. Yeah. So
Two middle-aged men playing tug of war with your childhood toy.
how do you? They're banging.
You got their teddy bear and they're just pulling it apart.
No, my action figures do this.
Yeah. Oh man,
Mine force heal.
Mine have a helmet. Mine doesn't.
Take that ridiculous thing off.
I cannot believe they've spent easily. I mean, with advertising everything, they spent $3 billion on producing these movies.
Right.
And you and I are sitting here going, can we possibly turn it into a story that makes sense?
Yeah. Is there a story in there?
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Challenge accepted.
I got a bad feeling about this.
So, goal.
We're
We're gonna maybe do we're gonna do one more video where we talk about some of our ideas for a sequel trilogy fan edit, and then we're gonna try to get one done by May the 4th. Be with you.
Goodbye, old friend. May the force be with you.
Same goal. That'll be under 2.5 hours. That maybe even less. I don't know. Maybe it's even shorter than that. So we'll see what happens.
Oh.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. And then we're just
We don't actually interact.
we're not friends.
We don't talk anymore.
We're not friends.